Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you another video. All right, so we have an understanding of what the rumored framework is for Dan Hurley's offer. $100 million, 8-year deal. That's 12.5 a year, you guys. I don't know if that's going to be enough. Believe it or not, I don't know if that's going to be enough, because from what I understand, to top his deal, it would have to be about 12. So they're just going a shade above it. And so I'm not really sure, even though that's like a record-breaking, oh my God type of deal, he's got that type of demand right now. So I hope he takes the deal. I think it's a fantastic deal for him and his family. A lot of security involved in that, 8 years. Even if the Lakers fire him, he's still getting paid every year that same amount. That's fantastic. See, I'm a Laker fan, so I want him to take the deal, and I think he should take the deal. But I'm just wondering if he'll find a better deal. I'm just wondering. I don't know. I don't know if somebody will say, yo, I'll top that. But, you know, the one thing that we always have to remember is we're not exactly a team that's small market. You're going to want to be here, and so will someone else. So if you don't take that deal, you may offer it to another person. So it's how bad do you want to be in the league? How bad do you want to coach a prestigious team? How bad do you want to coach LeBron James? If we were the Sacramento Kings, different story. Maybe we have to up that offer because we don't have the leverage not to. Maybe we have to go well above, give him 15 a year, right? But because we're the Lakers, I can argue that we have leverage too. I can argue that, even though I don't know if it's the greatest argument. So a lot of people are going to look at that 100 mil, they're going to be like, whoa. And then you realize it's 8 a year, 12.5 a year. It's like, whoa in comparison to what other people are getting, but is it whoa in comparison to what it is that he could be getting? I don't know. I think we're clearing what he's been offered, but not by a super ton, you know, not by a metric ton. So I'm happy. I'm glad the Lakers aren't going above and beyond what should be done. I don't think it affects the cap, so it's up to Jeanie to want to pay that. But I'm not in the mindset where it's like, Jeanie, you got to pay this guy $1 billion. Nah. We're not Steve Ballmer, you know what I'm saying? We got to be respectful of that. That's not my pocketbook. As long as it's not going against the cap, I don't have a feeling one way or another. I think she's doing a great job when it comes to offering him this deal. I'm just worried that he might be able to say, I could probably get a little more than that somewhere else. But will he be able to coach LeBron? Will he be a Laker coach? No. Now where else can he get that opportunity? Will you be in the sunshine? No, you ain't gonna get that opportunity anywhere else. So if I'm Hurley, I'm taking the deal. I'm taking the deal, not necessarily for the yearly, but for the years. Not for the dollar amount, but for the 8 years. That's a hell of a commitment to be a Laker coach. To have Jeanie Buss paying you for the next 8 years, $12 million a year. Coach a basketball team? Yeah, that's serious right there. Now, some of them years, we're not going to be that good. That's just what it is. We don't have a pick for 25. We don't have a pick for 27. LeBron James, 40 years old. We're not going to win a championship every year. We're not going to be winning like he's accustomed to winning every year. So that's something that I think we all going to have to be okay with. Him, us, everybody. Some of those years we're just not going to be very good. But if he's up for implementing his system and the player development, then I'm definitely certain that we're going to have a coach that can do the job, make us a much better team regardless of who we have on the floor. I ain't going to say he's going to be able to turn me and my homies into a national champion / NBA champion, but professionals he should be able to do a lot with, especially young guys who are willing to work hard. He should be able to implement his culture into the situation. And if he wins an NBA championship, if he brings us to a high level, we're going to be glad we have him at 12 a year, because I can argue we're setting the standard for what coaches are expected to make from here on out. Not necessarily doing something that will be considered unprecedented come year 3, year 4, year 5 of that deal. So, you know, we got to take into account inflation and various different things such as that make it so that this is a good situation for him. In the event that, you know, someone else comes along and makes 15 a year, hopefully he still feels good about this situation. So that's my point of view. I think we're in a good spot. I think he's got a good offer on the table. And if he's serious about moving on from an ever-changing NCAA situation that isn't what it is that he would have signed up for in the past, then making his move to the NBA should be a good thing for Dan Hurley, man. It should be a good thing. I hope he does it. I hope he does it for our sake, and I hope he does it to test out his system in the professional ranks. And that's part of it for a guy like him, man. And I was listening to somebody say he should wait for the Knicks job. And I don't necessarily hate the Knicks job if it comes about. I don't think Tibbs' job is on the line. But if he just knocked on the Knicks door and said, "Yo, I want to be your coach," I'm pretty sure they'll fire Tibbs and give him an offer. Because that's just where we're at with this guy. But all due respect to all the New Yorkers who love their state. People in New York, from what I see, think New York is like the center of the universe and pretty much everything revolves around there. It's just nicer out here, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's nicer weather, bro. It just is. We don't deal with any snow. We don't get that cold. But if you have to see snow, you can drive to Big Bear. It's only about an hour and a half away. Summers are cooler than out there. It's just a better overall environment. And so I wouldn't argue that he should take the Knicks job. I was listening to Colin Cowherd specifically say that. No. Now, the fact that his wife is from Jersey, maybe she would be a part of that category of people who would probably want to live in the New York area. Makes sense. But just in general, lifestyle-wise, nah, fam. No, you ain't choosing. You're not choosing New York over LA unless you're from New York. Like, that's pretty much the only reason why you're going to do that. Or you have something you want to do in New York. Other than that, nah, you're going to want to be in LA, for sure. For certain. So that's cap. I'm not rolling with that. I think you should take the Lakers job over the Knicks job any day. In fact, you should take the Lakers job over a lot of jobs in the NBA. Even though I've been on the record saying it's not a good job for a coach like him, it is. See, and that's what needed to be understood. I didn't see a coach like this being available to where they can provide an entire system that we could believe in upon their arrival. I was thinking another run-of-the-mill coach or rookie coach like a JJ or somebody like that. It's a bad coach for those guys. It's a bad job for those guys in theory because they got to deal with the crap that comes with it. But a guy like this, nah. He's coming in with so much leverage and such a revolutionary style to where he could be anywhere in the world. So the Lakers got to come correct with him. Most of the coaches on the market, that's not the case. There's only a few coaches that have the leverage he has. Period. You're talking about guys like Spoelstra. Like, he's getting a deal that Spoelstra would get to leave Miami to come to the Lakers. That's the type of stuff. So for a guy like that who you know is already coming in great, it's a great job because you can put your imprint on it. But for guys who are coming in unproven or guys who are coming in who may not have done great in other places, it's not that great of a job. If you're not coming in with something that's deemed successful already, and we know you the damn good, then it's not a great job for you. But if you are, this is a job that you can make your own. This is what the Lakers are looking for, is for somebody like that to come in and give us all that stuff that he ultimately brings to the table. So far be it from me to look at him and say this is a bad job for him. No, it's not a bad job for him. And as many other people have said on this internet, if it don't work out with him and the Lakers, he's going to get a job in college right away or somewhere else in the NBA right away if it don't work out. You know what I'm saying? Even if he fired, he's going to have a job in 5 minutes, just like a Spoelstra. So this is not one of them situations where the Lakers are in the driver's seat as it pertains to if we don't like what we see, we fire this guy. If you don't like what you see, you're paying him $12 million a year. And he's going to be able to get a job in 5 minutes. So that's not the type of coach this is. And like I said, I didn't see nobody like this being on the market for the Lakers. Now that we found somebody like this on the market for the Lakers, the whole way you have to look at the job changes. The whole way you have to look at the circumstance changes. And his leverage speaks, and his resume speaks for itself. So that's why I'm hopeful he takes the job, because I think that this is a game changer type of coach, potential. Obviously, he has to prove himself in this NBA ranks, but if you know basketball and you see what he's running out there, you know damn well this dude's going to come in and do damage. Now, whether or not he connects with young players or older guys is more so the question, but older guys are going to be gone in 5 minutes. Older guys are going to be gone before his contract's up. So it's going to be about how he handles the new talent that comes in and the younger guys that are going to be coming along. And I think he's got that part in the bag, pretty much. Given that his resume is going to speak for itself, they're going to listen to him. It's one thing if you're running 2-3 hour practices and you ain't never won nothing. But if you come in basically with the ability to turn non-shooters into national champions, which he just proved twice over in a row. And I can't think of too many people who have won NCAA championships in a row. It ain't too many, period. And he took some non-shooters and did it in a spacing era. So if that's what he's capable of doing, you're going to listen to him if you're a young millionaire. You may not listen to me, but you're going to listen to him because you know what he does works and you know he could turn nothing into something already proven. So, this is what it's about, man. I said before the Lakers got started with this particular situation that the best thing we had going for ourselves was scouts. I thought we had an eye for talent. Those scouts that we have, Jesse Buss and those guys, great at what they do. We bring this coach in, and that might be the best thing we have going for ourselves. Then you got this coach that can run all types of incredible math, as I like to call it. The basketball X's and O's. You bring that situation to you, and what you end up finding is that you're more likely to have people want to play for him. That's what I think could be next. Over the next 3 years, all things considered, he doesn't have a fallout with the players on our team and run up out of here somehow. What I think is going to happen is more people are going to want to be Lakers. Now, not only because of the sunshine, but because of the style of play that they're going to be able to benefit from. So that's what really you're paying for if you're Jeanie Buss. The hope that him and his culture can draw in whoever's next. Because LeBron James has been dealing with coaching turnover every 3 years. You got a new coach. The next superstar, in theory, if this works out, it's not going to have that problem. So the stability of a system with Dan Hurley is what you're hoping he brings to the table that will be attractive to whoever you want to pay next, whether it be Giannis or Wemby or Luka or whoever the guy is going to be. And you best believe it's going to be one of those type of guys that Jeanie Buss is already dreaming about bringing to the situation. You best believe she's hiring Hurley with the intention of making this place look much more attractive to people like that. So that's what it's about, man. That is what it's about. I like it. I love it. I hope it happens. If it doesn't happen, boys are going to take wind out of our sails. That's why you kind of, even though everybody's going around saying, the Lakers did a great job of not allowing this to get leaked, it did get leaked. That's what we need to be honest with ourselves about. This got leaked. This is out before it happened. So the letdown process is real. So the effect that people are saying that the Lakers want to avoid didn't actually get avoided, if I'm being honest. All of that talk about, the Lakers did a great job of keeping, even I said it, they did a great job keeping this under wraps. Not really, only because here we are waiting for it to happen, and there's a chance it doesn't happen. And if it doesn't happen, then you find yourself in a situation where now you've let everybody down. And so that's the effect you kind of don't want to have happen. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Hopefully he takes the job for that reason too, because you'd hate to think that is going to be a problem. One thing that I'm looking at, and I was listening to a podcast, and a guy put this in my head about 2 weeks ago. He said one of the reasons why I didn't bring back all the coaches is because the potential of all of those coaches being the leak is the issue. And I think that that's real. I think that that's an honest thing. When you consider that all of those coaches, you're welcome, all of those coaches are now gone, and this quote-unquote didn't get leaked until the Lakers, I guess, wanted it to be out. So maybe one of them coaches was the leak. I think that is something that's you can think about at this point when you consider it. Seems to me that this information came out when the Lakers are ready. At 4:30 or somewhere around 4:30, whatever the Laker channel is, because I honestly don't know these days. It's Fox Sports I don't know what it is, but they got something up saying that they're going to have some type of announcement. Hopefully that's an announcement telling us they've hired this coach. What I'm expecting is an announcement telling us that they've talked to the coach and that they've made him an offer. That's what I think they're going to probably announce in a couple hours. So I just want to tell everybody that the Lakers are ready to make a formal announcement. It says something about Laker test. Also, in regards to our Lakers, we did bring in some prospects. It wasn't just Zach Edey. We brought in Ron Holland, and I believe we brought in Anthony Carter. I'm super excited about all those prospects, to be honest with you. I'd be ecstatic if somehow Ron Holland fell to us because he's not supposed to. Even though I have seen some footage of Ron Holland, and he is a project. He's going to take some time to develop. He's a young guy with a lot of athleticism, but he's also a young guy who tends to bumble and fumble all over himself. Can't get right gene is in this kid, unfortunately. But when he does what he's supposed to do, he's a hell of a defensive player, rather explosive athlete, and the upside is definitely all-star. Definitely all-star, but you got to get through the development phase, and I'm telling you, he's already proven to me through some of the footage that he gonna bump his head. So we can't expect him to be that kind of out the gate super rookie. No, Ron Holland is not that. And that's probably why his stock is falling a little bit. But nevertheless, for us at 17, that would be a massive, massive upgrade to what we expect the talent level to be at that position. So if we can get Ron Holland at 17, boy, you winning. Because they got people out there who think Ron Holland's a top 5 player in this draft. But I do think one of them top 5 dudes is going to fall, man. Yeah, I do think that. I told y'all earlier in my video today, I think some of them dudes that we think are going to be the best prospects at the top of the draft are going to fall because some of the dudes behind them are players that people fall in love with. Like Tristan Da Silva and Bob Carrington and who else, man? It's names up and down that area. Tyler Kolek, Terrence Shannon and his off-the-court issues have messed with his draft stock. But if you look at what he is about, as it pertains to what he's going to bring to the floor, he should probably be going in the top 22 as well. So it's like, and then you got the centers, the need for these centers. I think it's a damn good chance the Lakers are going to have a damn good guard available to them at 17. I think it's almost inevitable that you're going to have a damn good guard available at 17. So I do believe that the Lakers have multiple needs. As I was listening to Sean Davis mention that the Lakers have multiple needs. Center just happens to be one of them, and most of us have our mind focused on a center. But I'm telling you, if a great guard is available at 17, I'm not going to take the center over that great guard. I'm not going to do that. If something crazy happens to where Ron Holland is available, and then I'm staring at freaking couple centers that are supposed to be in my range, I'm not taking... I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to take the guard. I'm telling you, I'm going to take the guard, and I'm going to live with it because I do think the Lakers need guards. I'm going to take the forward and live with it because I do think the Lakers could use wings. Nothing more than a center, but I'm not taking a center that I believe should be in our range as a good pick over a great pick for a guy that probably failed just because of a couple things that shook up in the draft board. Some things are already shaking up off the strength of that injury that was sustained to the Serbian point guard, whose name is always disappearing on me when I need it not to the most, as do most of these prospects. But because he's now hurt and expected to fall, people are starting to do more homework on the guys in the second tier of this draft and are looking to probably fall in love with them because they really are dope players. So that's a real thing. Filipowski is, for me, the one player in our range that I'm really not hoping we take. Last year, that player just so happened to be JHS. Like, if there's one guy in our range that I really want the Lakers to pass up on this year, it really is the 7-footer Filipowski. I'm just not a fan, bro. I'm just not a fan. He may very well step in and be the player of the draft. It wouldn't be the first time I've been this wrong about a guy. It really wouldn't be. I was this wrong about Keontae George. I hated Keontae George's piece last year before the draft, and then by the time Summer League came around, I was on the other end of that, and I think he's going to be a fantastic player from here on out. So I don't always be right. But Filipowski, I'm cool on, bro. And I know he fits. That's the thing. I know he fits. He going to fit. But with all the players around the range, he's falling all the way down to the mid-20s for me, man. Maybe even late 20s. I don't think I have him falling past the Celtics at 30 on my draft board. But he back there somewhere like that. He back there somewhere. You know, there's a lot of guys in this draft that I really like in the back of the draft, too. Back of the first round, rather. Top of the second round. A lot of dudes. You know what I'm saying? So I can't see myself taking a guy I really don't like just because he's supposed to be in our range. I'm cool, man. I trust myself when it comes to these players, and over the years, some of the players I really didn't like turned out to be really garbage. Like, they really did so. And so in this situation, I'm gonna pass on Filipowski, even if he's available at 17. Even if we need him and all the other centers are gone, I'm just gonna take the guard. I'm gonna take the Bub Carrington. I'm gonna take the Carter. I'm gonna take McClain. I like all them dudes more than him. Tyson. I like all of them. George. I like all those people more than Filipowski, man. All of them. So that's the problem. I think other people feel the way I do about Filipowski too, man. I think a lot of people are cool on him, and he's probably a very good prospect, man. He probably is. 7-footer, can shoot the ball and defend. Hey, he'll probably be pretty good. But I'm just gonna trust my gut and tell the Lakers to pass on that player if he's available. Find somebody else. There's plenty on the board that I'm gonna like at that point. That's the JHS of this draft. It's a damn shame the Lakers really did take the one guy I didn't want to take in our range last year. Like, they really actually, the one player I said, yo, I could pass on him, take somebody else. Even though it's a good pick for our draft range. He should be drafted at 17, but I'm passing him. They took the guy. And you see how it played out? Like, damn. And now this year we got another opportunity to take another guy like that. Because a couple of these players in this draft are somewhat like him. A player I'm wondering about, man, is a guy I talked already about, Isaiah Collier. His draft stock is all over the place, man. He can go anywhere from 4 to 30, bro. Honestly, I don't know that there's any player in this draft that has more of a vast range of places to be drafted besides Bronny James than Isaiah Collier. I don't know. Because I think his floor is pretty low early on, but his ceiling is really high. So with players like that, it's like the bust potential is there. The boom potential is there. He don't fit everywhere. He's a big guard, but he's not athletic. He can't really shoot. So for me, it's like the other guards in this draft, he's not overly great defensively, but he's good enough to where he's going to be a part of a good defensive situation. I want him to go somewhere where they need him. Phoenix, Minnesota, New Orleans. Those are the teams that I have in mind for Isaiah Collier. Those are the 3 teams I would put him on that are available in this draft. There are probably others as well, but I don't think those teams necessarily have picks. But Phoenix, I would have him fall that far in some cases, but I don't think he actually does fall that far. But that would be a great spot for him. Go up there, play with those vets. Step in, be the only point guard on the whole damn team. His upside gets realized by being surrounded by such talented players. The stretching the floor stuff isn't really all that necessary. You don't need his 3-ball to really do much because he's surrounded by Kevin Durant, Booker, and Beal. I like that situation for him. He doesn't have to necessarily start if he doesn't come off the right way early on. They can put Booker back in that spot and just have him coming off the bench, which is probably safer for the first half of the season anyway. That is my ideal place, besides Minnesota, for which we've already talked about. Salute the Kobe minute. Those are my ideal places for him. I say New Orleans because I don't think they actually have a point guard either. They got guys who play the point guard position, but not a true point guard like what he brings to the table. But for me, my ideal spot for any of those point guards in the back of this draft is those 3 places. That's what comes to mind. Because the rest of these teams, if I'm being honest with you, they don't really have a need for point guard. And while I could argue the Lakers definitely need a point guard, he ain't on the list for me in terms of the guys that I would prefer to have. He should be drafted 17, but I don't want him. If I'm choosing between him and Bub and McCain, and he's the back of that list. He's on the back of that list for me. And so that's really what it is. I just don't think the fit is all that great for the Lakers. I think he's a little too much JHS, for me. Kind of has some of the same strengths and weaknesses as JHS. I'm not going to draft JHS twice in a row. I'm not going to do that. And that's kind of how I'm looking at Isaiah Collier. It's probably a little better version of JHS. I'm out on the guys that can't really defend and don't have explosiveness but are tall. It's weird to me. How you 6'6" but you're not explosive but you fast as hell and don't defend? Like, that's weird. I don't need that. And you don't stretch the floor? I don't need that. If you're going to have that issue, you better be talented shooting the ball. That's why I'm on board with Bub Carrington. He's not overly explosive, but he can shoot from everywhere. You know what I'm saying? He can shoot from me. He's a 3-level scorer for sure. So for me, that makes more sense. If I'm going to get a 6'6" guy that can't jump, you better either be able to defend like crazy and facilitate, or you better be able to shoot like crazy and create for yourself and others. Isaiah Collier is a driver. He drives, but no explosiveness. You see what I'm saying? So when you're going up against the Wembies and going up against the real shot blockers of this league, he getting packed. And he's continuing to test them. Now, in some cases, it's going to work because he's going to get to the line. In other cases, he's going to get swatted. And I already got enough of that in my guards. I don't need that in my guards at all. So that's why I'm out on him. I just don't look at him as a player who's going to get off the ground, but he's steady trying to drive at trees. You see what I'm saying? So if you don't finish like and do things like Kyrie, I don't have or you don't shoot like Steph, I don't have use for you, bro. And you tall, so it doesn't even make any sense that you're not dunking on people. Like, that's how I look at it. It just don't make no sense to me, man. It don't make no sense to me. And that's why I didn't like JHS. That's why I'm kind of down on Collier. I don't really like them type players. If you're going to be a layup merchant, be under 6'2", bro. Be 6'1". Then it makes sense that you ain't dunking the ball. But you 6'6" and you ain't dunking the ball. And you can't shoot like D'Lo. You don't pass like... I'm out. I'm out on that mold of player. That doesn't... that's one of my least favorite types of players. So I'm just going to be honest with you. That's why I did a long video on Isaiah Collier. Like I said, I think there are places he can go. His upside is all-star. But mostly what he brings to the table is just a bunch of stuff that I don't think goes together with itself. If you tall and you drive a lot, you don't dunk the ball, you're just asking to get swatted, man. You're going to be throwing possessions away a lot of the time, in my opinion, unless you got the right players around you. And in this situation, you don't, in my opinion, in this situation. Now, I could be wrong. I'm happy to be wrong, especially when I'm out on somebody. But there's two guys in my range that if they the only two players there, I'm thinking about trading down. If everything I like is gone and all you got is Isaiah Collier and Filipowski, we got a problem. we gonna have to reach down for somebody else. We got to take Bub Carrington. He should be on the board. If he ain't on the board, one of them other guards will. And that's the good thing about being in 17. There's one player in our range that I never think about at all for us, and that's Jacoby Walter. But last year there was a guy who I really thought was an amazing shooter, still do. Can't think of his name. He went to the New Orleans Pelicans. He actually played at UConn for Hurley last year. And we weren't able to get him. He was drafted too early. And I love the idea of him. But I haven't thought anything about Jacoby Walter, when him and Jacoby Walter are pretty much expected to stretch the floor and stuff like that. So I haven't given him much thought. I did a little homework on Jacoby Walter, and I like him for certain situations. I actually have him mocked probably before our range. And I even have him being mocked after our range, as it pertains to like Orlando, the very next pick. I've mocked him to Orlando a lot. But I really don't know if I want that player in our situation. You want your own pure shooter, though. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. For as bad as our team shot the ball, you would love for a guy like Ja'Kobe Walter to come in on a rookie contract and be a homegrown shooter Laker. You would love that. So that's really what I'm wondering about. Does it make a lot of sense to bring in a guy like Ja'Kobe Walter if he's available? He certainly could be drafted in our range. He's like a KCP. We talked about that to a degree, but not defensively, but offensively. That catch and shoot corner merchant. Great on out of timeout plays where you're running for a 3-point shot off of a certain angle or what have you. He should probably be very good in Hurley's system. Should be very good in Hurley's system. So he's a curious pick. When you think about all the other things that you need, a 3-point shooter is almost one of those things that you almost forget that you could use. But he's tall enough and long enough to play both the 2 and the 3. He's not really a facilitator from what I understand, and he's going to be a solid defender, but not great, but like good enough to be a 3 and D type guy. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I think he's the one guy that's getting forgotten about here, and I wanted to give him a little bit of conversation because I think he's going to be a hell of a piece, and I'm not out on him for the Lakers. I just like other stuff more than I like him. But I wonder if I'm wrong about that. That's one of the types every time a shooter comes around that you can draft and you're thinking about getting a point guard, you're thinking about getting a wing, you're thinking about getting a center, maybe for a team that shoots the 3 ball like we do, maybe we should be thinking about getting a shooter like this one of these days. Maybe we do need a homegrown 3-point shooter in our system. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Ja'Kobe Walter is the forgotten man in our range, but he could go anywhere between 14 and 27, and that is exactly the range we're in. So bring him in. That's basically what I'm saying. Bring him in. I think the Lakers are bringing in guys that are out of our range right now, to be honest with you. Holland, I don't think is going to fall to us. Edey, he could fall to us. I like Edey for us. He's like another Shaquille type player, even though that sounds crazy, but that's exactly how he plays. But I don't know if it translates to the NBA unless you have the right system, unless you're ready to be patient with him, unless you're ready for the boom or bust type of situation. So for me, Zach Edey's probably, I'm almost looking at him like Ja'Kobe Walter. Like, yeah, I could use that, but I probably like other stuff around me a little more. So it's like, do I go with this player? If I had multiple picks in the range, probably. But if I only got one pick, I'm probably not going to pick Zach Edey. I'm probably not going with Ja'Kobe Walter in theory. So these are the type of things that we're thinking about. I hope the Lakers make the right decision, man. I've done a million mock drafts online, and the one guy that I keep taking is Kel'el Ware. Kel'el Ware marks off all the boxes for what it is that I think we need. A lengthy shot blocker, explosive lob catcher, can stretch the floor. That's like probably the safest pick. My favorite guy is DaRon Holmes, as you guys know. But I think DaRon Holmes is a little further back. You're probably not going to take him at 17. You're probably going to take him more so at 25, 26. So I just don't know if we're not leaving too much good on the board reaching down for DaRon Holmes. I don't know. But I also think there's another part of my brain that says he's just not mocked correctly, probably for political reasons. So if you fall in love with mock structure, and you and I both know this player is better than he's mocked at, you can't be so in love with that mock space, because at the end of the day, they're going to be players that shouldn't be in those ranges that you're going to value, and then you're going to bring them in and they're not going to be as good when you knew damn well you liked this player, you should have took this player, that kind of thing. So I have him in our range. I'm pushing down Filipowski. I'm pushing down Ja'Kobe Walter. I'm pushing down Isaiah Collier. And DaRon Holmes probably moves up on my board any damn way. So I got to do a couple more mocks to make that make sense. But usually a good 60% of the time, I'm taking Kel'el Ware at 17. He's usually available, and I'm usually taking him. So I think in real life, it stands to reason where you would be very prepared for him not to be available, because there is that idea that because he fits in so many different situations that other teams would like him. But as Sean Davis has said, he liked the idea of Kel'el Ware more so than the actual player, Khalil Ware, which is where I get all that from. And I agree to a degree because of the mental edge that he doesn't necessarily appear to possess. The focus and the motor is glaring against him. And that could have been because he was getting transferred from wherever the hell he played to Indiana, and that could have been a hard adjustment for a young player. I don't think you have that type of issue if you're in Los Angeles. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I think at the end of the day, this is a player that checks off a lot of boxes for me. This is a player that I think fits the modern NBA. You know, we're fresh off the success of Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, and this is probably the closest thing to that. Plus, unlike those two, he's looking to stretch the floor consistently at some point as he develops. Although I think Derek Lively's proven he could shoot in the combine last year. I ain't forgot that. So that's what I'm looking at, man. That's what I'm looking at. I'm probably pulling the trigger on Khalil Ware if the board is pretty average. If nothing major happens, that's probably who I'd end up taking. But I tell you this, there's a bunch of people that I like around that situation, including Tristan da Silva. You know, there's plenty of guys, man. Terrence Shannon, I think, could be interesting. If Shannon's shot is falling, he's an excellent prospect. If his shot is not going to fall, he's just a really nice source of athleticism and length, defense. Who else, man? Tajane Saloon is turning into one of my favorite players in this draft. I think he's excellent. I think he's going to be a problem for a long time. He's probably gone by us. But if he falls to us, I wouldn't hesitate to take him. But he's a little bit of a project, so I don't know how soon he can help us. So it's a lot of stuff there, you know. This is not a perfect draft, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't intrigued with most of these prospects and really into this draft. I am. And I'm glad I did my own homework. And that's what I would tell people. There have been some years in the past I've done homework on drafts. I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't as intrigued with those drafts as I am with this one. Even though this is supposed to be a quote-unquote weaker draft, I think these players really do fit a lot of what teams need, man, as I've said before. You got guys that can be your anchor in the paint. How you doing, sir? You got people that can be your shooter. You got your upside youngster that had the super growth spurt. You got the French long player that can be explosive. You got the guy with the questionable off the court issues that likely should be taken in the lottery that you can get probably at the beginning of the second round. Like, you got so much there that isn't normally there. Like, usually when you look at better drafts, the reason why people think they're better drafts is because there's a superstar at the top of them, or the first top 10 players are like really, really special. But the back of the drafts, most of the time, they don't have as many good players as this one does. So if the fullness of the draft is what you're actually looking at and not the top heaviness of it, then this is actually a good draft. That's what I'm here to tell y'all. And you're talking about 2 starting point guards in the back of the first round, and Tyler Kolek and Bub Carrington. I think Tyler Kolek is probably going to be a starting point guard. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, if this is a bad draft, it's kind of how I look at people who judge basketball teams based on their top 5 players. Like, this is a good team, but they only have like 6 guys that they want to play. They're so good. No, they're just top heavy. And I think the way that people are looking at this draft is the way that people look at those teams. Like, the people who say this is a bad draft probably think the Phoenix Suns and the Brooklyn Nets would be a good team. You see what I'm saying? Like, in theory, because they looking at the top heaviness of it. Is there a Wemby? Is there an Ant-Man? Nah, you don't have none of that. But if you look on the back of the benches, or you look on the back of this draft, you see nothing but substance. Substance. Real role players. Real guys with upside. Guys that are really going to fill a role. Guys that are going to make your team good enough to win a championship next to them superstars. So for me, the more I get in tune with who's in this damn draft, the more I realize that while there are no stars in this draft, in my humble opinion, probably goes about 35 deep. 35 or 36 players I genuinely would love to have in most situations. You know how crazy that ratio is? Out of 58 players, 35 of them I think are going to be pros. Man, most drafts don't have that type of ratio. I'm telling you they don't. So for the talk of this not being a good draft, I think more people are going to make it in the league from this draft than probably most drafts. I really believe that. This could go from one of the worst classes to one of the best classes ever, just based on how much substance and how many actual pros are in this draft, which is plenty. So take it from somebody who's trying to pay as much attention to this as possible when I tell you that the draft is not top heavy, but it is deep. It ain't got no superstars, but if you like what you find in middle rounds, in middle ranges, most drafts, this is the draft that got nothing but that, all up and down it, all the way to the back of it. So that's what I want to say, man. It's not a bad draft at all. It's not a great draft because you don't have that superstar, but it is a great draft because you got nothing but substance everywhere else. And so that's what I want to say, man. To people who have the 17th pick, 16th pick, 22th pick, 23th pick, you're getting good stuff. You're getting good stuff for that value. It's Atlanta and Washington that are getting screwed because at the top of the draft, what you would normally want as a number one pick ain't there. But all these guys with the middle rounds, yeah, we getting money. We getting money if we draft right. I guarantee you're going to be happy with what you get if you draft right. So that's what I want to say, man. That's what I want to say. Got people on the back of this thing like Bobby Clinton and George and who else, man? Dunn, one of the best defenders probably ever, is on the back of this damn draft. Legendary defender. He just ain't an offensive player, but he's going to be a legendary defender. Bruce Bowen or something like that. He's going to be one of them type of dudes. Tony Allen. And he probably going to go in the beginning of the second round. Like, you can't tell me this is a bad draft if you're really paying close enough attention to it. Hell no. You can't actually. And then Zach Edey. When you look at what Zach Edey's accomplished in the NCAA, it's the idea of what people think he cannot do is what makes it so that people are not valuing him very high. What he actually showed is that he's one of the most dominant players in the history of the sport. Literally, one of the most dominant players in the history of the NCAA is Zach Edey. And because people don't believe in him, they're ranking him further down the board. But if you incorporate him as a top 3 pick, like what his resume proven it should be, then you can start realizing this draft to be better than you think because of that player alone. What if he turns out to be the next big center in this league? Just because these scouts don't believe in him, suddenly you're looking at his draft like his draft stock doesn't matter. Maybe he's the star. Maybe we're just looking at this wrong. So there's a lot of stuff there, man. 7'4" center, 300 pounds, dunks everything, barely misses hook shots, barely misses free throws, and he's supposed to be a bad center. Okay. You got it, buddy. Hope you know what you're talking about. So that's where this is when you got to say, let's fast forward and just picture what you believe in regards to these players is what's going to manifest. Because if you listen to some of these scouts who think they know it all, they're going to lead you down the wrong path and you're going to end up taking the wrong players. And I would not exclude myself from that, even though I'm not a scout. I could be wrong too. But you got to do your own homework on these players. Do not take anyone's word for it who's not paying close enough attention to be able to name off about 25, 30 of these dudes. If they can't do that, they really don't know what's there. I'm just being honest with you. They just listen to other people tell you it's a bad draft. And those people are telling them that because it ain't no star at the top. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. Just wanted to get all that out. I hope people are enjoying their day. My name is BDF44. I thank y'all for watching, and I'm out.